Hi, Sages, and welcome to your September 2017 General Tarot Forecast. This is Sky here to deliver you, hopefully, another amazing reading for your month ahead. Wow, I really feel like this is the month, Sag, where your experience starts to change. August 26th is the day that Saturn goes direct and begins the process of leaving your sign, and it will be there still in Sagittarius for the rest of 2017 pretty much, but it will no longer be making a retrograde through Sagittarius, and it will be in direct motion for the rest of the time. So for any Sagittarius who were born like in November or early December, you should completely be done. For some of the Sagittarius born later in like December, you know, up towards the 21st, or from maybe like the 16th to the 21st of December, you're still going to feel it a little bit, but it's not going to be nearly as severe because for all intents and purposes, Saturn has done what it needed to do for you and you've had the experience, and now is just sort of the testing period to see if it's clicked yet. Oftentimes, in my experience, when Saturn is concluding its transit, there can be a lot of doors to open and there can be a lot of new possibilities to emerge from what existed before. And there is a very strong need for you to hold steady during this time. There's a very strong need to not succumb to desperation and to not try to reach for something that's unrealistic right now. Because basically, during the entire time that Saturn has been in Sagittarius, for I guess the last about year and a half or two, I'm not sure specifically, I would have to look back, but for the whole time that Saturn has been in Sagittarius, any acts of desperation or unrealistic need within you has been punished severely, and that's generally what Saturn does. Or you've not been able to succumb to desperation. You've had to really cross your T's, dot your I's type of thing. And now, as Saturn starts to leave, you will start to have more opportunity to act in a lower evolved way, seemingly without consequence and seemingly without any kind of obstacle in your way. But it's a very short-lived experience from what I've seen. And this tends to be very prevalent for everybody who gets Saturn on their sun sign or rising or moon sign, any powerful placement like that. At the end of the Saturn transit, it's so common to experience all of a sudden a new relationship or a new opportunity to move that you've not really delved into very strongly, or something that just feels like a miracle, but it's usually not during this time. And it's really hard because you can find yourself caught here energetically. You can find yourself stuck on somebody or stuck with somebody and feeling like you're out of control, feeling like you don't have access to the driver's seat of your life or to the driver's seat of your experience. And the key to transcending this energy is to allow yourself to consider it, or to allow yourself to see where it would go, and find the way to honor both what Saturn needed to give you and honor the opportunities at hand. For example, if you all of a sudden have a new relationship come in during this time, it's good to honor that energy and to see and to feel out the potential there. But when the red flags start coming up, the biggest problem area with this energy is to try to ignore them and to try to continue because you're desperate to not go back to where you were. You have to redefine the relationship with where you've been, Sag, and what has been difficult about your experience over the last, for the most part, 2 years. And you have to come into a place where in some way you appreciate what your experience has been, and where you find the lessons that you've learned, and you find a comfortability with what has happened, to where you could almost exist in it in a higher evolved way, to where you're not so negatively affected or afflicted by what happened. And that can be very difficult. And that's what, in essence, is so difficult about the Saturn transit, is it's very hard to change your opinion on your trauma or your damage or your love towards what you hate. But it's almost a necessary evil. And it's not a bad thing at the end of the day. And don't mistake what I'm saying to be appreciating your abuser or appreciating somebody who put you into a traumatic situation. That's not it. But it's the ability to retract your energetic investment in the person that did that, while simultaneously being able to preserve yourself and your energy in that environment. And for some of you, maybe that environment destructed or was not possibly preservable, which is fine. But it's like throughout the experience and the reverberations of the experience, as you start to cope and as you start to realize what the trauma actually was, there's a need to find comfort in understanding and find comfort in your experience, regardless of how antagonized it may have been and regardless of how much damage you feel was there, because there's something very powerful in your experience, Sagittarius. There's something that you can see in the decisions that you alone made and how that affected the people around you and how that ultimately made them make decisions that were so difficult on you. There's very much power in reflection there if you cannot get caught on being a victim or being victimized, because maybe a lot of you were during this time. That's very common during these types of energetic paradigms. Perhaps you were victimized. Perhaps somebody treated you very bad. It's been an energy that I've seen in your tarot for a long time now. But coming to an understanding that we pull in our experiences, that we create our reality in some way, and through these difficult experiences we learn how to finally love correctly, or we learn how to finally sustain the job or the family or what it is that we do, and or we can give the gift of knowledge to other people. That's been a lot of it for Sagittarius, because you are the sign of the teacher, you're the sign of the philosopher. So therefore, your wisdom and your knowledge comes from difficult experiences during times like these. So there seems to be a very strong purpose here for you guys. In September, I think that you're going to have a redefinition of what your purpose is. Very possible. For those of you who have felt a lack of purpose, I sense it coming back in September, because you've made it, ultimately. And again, in January. In January, there will be another type of energy similar to what there is in September. So those are two like really big months for you, September and January of 2018. September 2017, January 2018, two very powerful, potent months. That's when, in January, Saturn will be done. Saturn will be into Capricorn by then, like strongly into Capricorn. So you will feel a very huge sigh of relief by then, but it's pretty much done. Like, honestly, I carry a theory that humans kind of live in the future a little bit. Like, our energy kind of knows what's coming, and for that reason, Saturn being pretty much done in Sagittarius means that in a way humanity is kind of out of it, but that's not true for every single person. So a lot of what September entails for you guys as well is being able to let go, being able to let your mind's claws kind of, again, detract from a situation, because that's, to me, where the only trauma comes from, is not being able to let go of somebody, not being able to accept that something has ended. And I speak from experience as a Scorpio Sag cusper, and with someone with a Sagittarius stellium in my chart, I speak from experience. So some of you have been kind of upset by my previous month's readings for Sagittarius, and that's fine. And the comments that are very much helped by what I say make up for it completely. But I understand why the readings for Sagittarius have been upsetting over the last few months, because it's not really been the most easy experience, and I'm not the type of reader who turns negative energy like this into something that's easy. Now, it can be positive. It can be transmuted and transcended into something that is positive, yes, or healthier, but it's not ever going to be particularly easy during these paradigms. Now, once Jupiter gets into your sign, after it's in Scorpio, so I guess about 2 years from now, around 2019, that's going to be an easy period of time for you guys, and I'm sure that I will be speaking about how wonderful your experience is, but right now is when it gets real for you guys, and there are a few things that will come into your experience that I still feel is kind of undecided right now, that will be a very potent, probably turning point of your life, I would say, over the next few months, and it's really going to be quite beautiful, I think, but in the very moment, in hindsight, you're going to see how amazing it was, but in the moment, you're going to feel a little bit disoriented, I feel. But anyway, I want to go ahead and look at your reading from the week to week, and we'll see what's specifically coming forward. In the first week, you guys have Death rooted down by King of Cups reversed. It's like right when we get into September, on the other side of this eclipse, Sages, you have to let go. Something was eclipsed out of your life, and something was introduced into your life after the eclipse. And it should have been quite a steady, easy transition, because the solar eclipse was in Leo, which is a very harmonious angle to you. But that said, solar eclipse energy is always kind of difficult to work with and kind of jarring. But I think that maybe for some of you who went through the breakup or lost a loved one or had a very big end of something in your life, it feels to me that around the time of the eclipse, whatever was keeping you held on or grasped to that situation was removed. And it's like maybe you realized that it was removed, but then a few days after the eclipse, you went searching and found it again. And that's hard. That's a very difficult place to be. And it's like right when September comes, something happens in your life where you can't keep doing that, where you can't keep going to search it out, or if you go to search it out, you can't find it. And it would be nicer for you guys to, rather than being faced with the situation of not being able to find it, to be able to impose the self-discipline to not look in the first place. And that's going to come in a lot of different ways. For some of you, maybe it could be as simple as you're looking at the Facebook profiles of your exes, or you're or you're keeping your eye out for your loved ones, even though you're not welcome in their lives, something like that, where you know that you're not wanted, but it's like you're looking anyway. You know that you can't reach out, but you want to know that they're safe. It's a very colluded type of thing, and an energy that ultimately is painful for you, Sagittarius, and it breaks my heart to see. And I've kind of experienced it in a way myself, not really in that way, but I feel that energy, and of looking for something that you once cared about and knowing that it can't be there. And if it is there, you can't have it. That's, I think, one of the most difficult things of the Sagittarius experience right now, because it's not in the nature of your sign. Sagittarius is usually very rewarded for looking and very rewarded for reaching out in some way. But due to the sort of double negative nature of Saturn, that's just kind of reversed right now. And what you look for that's not healthy gives you difficult circumstances. And in the first week of September, it's solidified. And maybe you have a big self-transformation, because death is in the upright, which I'm really happy to see. I think it's come up reversed for you guys a lot. So it's wonderful for me to see that you're not like resisting that. I feel that once you get into the first week, it's not going to be a matter of like looking for someone or looking for this energy and not finding it and trying so hard over and over and over again and having like some sort of major life altering difficult experience. I feel that maybe you go to look and you're like, what am I doing? Why am I prolonging this pain within myself? Why am I hurting like this? And then you stop, and then you set your sights for something new, like your career or your aspiration. Something is really amazing for you there, Sag, as it relates to your money and your career and your presence too. Your presence or your omnipotence in life is very much good right now, or balanced, I feel. And you can achieve a lot that doesn't have to do with relationships. But I feel that the rest of 2017, for some of you, you're going to get a brand new opportunity for a relationship, but you're going to know pretty quickly that something's not quite right, or you're just not going to really be in the market for a relationship, I feel, very likely. Even if it's like the perfect relationship or this person is perfect, it could be something like you don't feel that you're wholesome enough to be in a relationship. And even though the relationship is very nice, and don't let me project for you guys, maybe you have something else in your chart that is being aspected very harmoniously right now that allows a very nice relationship to come in. That could be. But the general Sagittarius energy is not feeling whole enough to devote a lot of energy to other people right now. So, and of course, like, you can always book a private reading with me, have me look at your chart, and I will elaborate more on your specific circumstance, or watch your sun, moon, rising sign. That should give you more insight as well. But Sagittarius in and of itself, relationships aren't the best territory for the rest of 2017, just because you're also likely to vent a lot and scare people off by seeming very wounded, because Sagittarius isn't really the most wounded sign of the zodiac. In fact, it's one of the less emotionally burdened signs, because it's come out of Scorpio. Like, Sagittarius is the sign after Scorpio, and Scorpio is representative of the emotional burden and the emotional lower evolution and transcending that. And Scorpio did the work there. Scorpio did that transcension work, and now Sagittarius is sort of the result. So it's not very tied down by emotions, but for some reason you come off that way. To other people right now. So that's something that doesn't work so well with relationships. Or you get somebody who's very much a psychic vampire and feeds on that and encourages you to stay in that cycle. So if you can transcend that, relationships can be good, but keep your mind there and understand, like, when you've attracted a psychic vampire or when you've attracted somebody who has no emotional depth, it seems to me hard to find the middle ground there. And I'm feeling that, again, because death is rooted down by the King of Cups reversed. Somebody is not meeting your emotional needs. Somebody is not meeting your emotional compass in general. It's like it's not calibrated right, something. And I think that this is general for like family relationships as well, and maybe old friendships or something. Like you've maybe been around a lot of family this month because, again, Saturn rules traditional family values. So maybe a lot of you have been around like both sides of your family. Maybe you've seen people that you haven't seen in a very long time or been in communication with them, and you're realizing that it's just not calibrated. It's the energy is not harmonious. There's something awkward. There's something heavy there, and you're very quick to self-blame and to put that blame onto yourself. But in reality, you're pretty high in a lot of ways. For the most of you Sagittarius out there, you've had to ascend. You've been forced to ascend by Saturn, and I feel that mostly it's because people like aren't on your wavelength yet. You're kind of in front of humanity, you're kind of above humanity, and I feel by the time that Jupiter gets into your sign, for sure 2 years from now, that's changed, but maybe even by the new year that's changed somewhat. But I think that you're just discouraged because romance is not working, family is a bit of a struggle right now, and old friendships aren't working, and it's really hard to attract new relationships. So that's been discouraging for you guys, but it's all had a purpose. And that purpose, Sag, is for you to find your purpose. Because people distract you. You are the most distractible sign of the zodiac. And during this time when you have so much power and so much planetary energy coming in that is solid and long-lasting, if you are distracted by a lot of relationships and a lot of people and things that do not matter in 10 years from now, you would not achieve the purpose that you are going to inevitably achieve. So do not mistake my sort of, I guess you could call it a projection of what might be a seemingly negative experience into being something that is me picking on Sagittarius, or is me just being a negative reader. Because ultimately this situation gives you more than like any other zodiac sign, and there needs to be some appreciation and accreditation given to Saturn for that. Because that's another thing, like people have a tendency to be like, oh, Saturn is the worst transit to have, and it's the most difficult transit to have. Well, all the outer planets can be difficult in their way, but I feel that Saturn and Pluto are probably the most obviously difficult transits to experience, but they both give you something for that. By going through these experiences, you get a lot more than zodiac signs who might be having a Venus transit or even a Jupiter transit. Be thankful that you get the Saturn transit before your Jupiter transit in a few years. It would be very hard if you had this Jupiter transit before the Saturn transit, because Saturn could potentially take it all away. So it's really setting up to be perfect. Like, everything happens with reason. Saturn is coming through your sign. It's sort of making you feel barren. It's making you feel infertile. It's making you feel like you can't manifest. And then, but at the same time, it's building a system in which you can learn how, and then Jupiter will come to fill that up. So it's all happening with reason, Sagittarius, and it's not a matter of me being negative, and it's not a matter of Saturn being the just here to give you difficult experiences for fun. It's building you into something that can actually do what you set out to do, because you have high expectations. You have the highest expectations of any zodiac sign. You aim higher than any zodiac sign. You're, depending on your astrological makeup, the most ambitious zodiac sign, and you learn the most through that rising from the ashes period, because again, that's what Scorpio taught you. You come after Scorpio. Scorpio was the energy that rose from the ashes, and you represent what came out of that. So, up you go, get up from this difficult experience, because you've got to start realizing how blessed you are through these difficult circumstances, rather than getting caught on the circumstances themselves. So wow, this is a long reading, but into the second week, you guys have Ace of Swords rooted down by Justice. And I feel that is like when you like have that awakening moment. Like, the first week is sort of reminiscent of what you've been through for quite a while now. The first week is can be quite difficult, but also very rewarding, and that's just the crux of it for you. Difficult yet rewarding. Not difficult without purpose, and not rewarding without sacrifice or some kind of payout. But Ace of Swords is really good. It's some kind of, I feel that you're going to get sharper vision or something. It's like you've been really foggy lately. I feel that a lot of you might be getting your health together. Like you've had like poor lifestyle habits, maybe not eating enough or overeating, or like way too much caffeine on like an empty stomach. There's something that's not really doing you very well. Like I feel your liver and kidneys are taxed or something. And through maybe, that would also be a good thing for the first week, would be to start some kind of new health regimen, because you are very transformative during that time. And then it's like by the second week of September, you're seeing life with like clearer vision and feeling more healthy, more exuberant, and balancing things, because that's rooted down by justice. So it's like your hormones might be balancing out, or your blood pressure or your blood sugar, something is balanced out, and you're like, wow, why have I not lived like this for all my life? I feel so much better than I have. And that's just a symptom of Saturn as well. It will, really point out any health problems that you have, or it will really make them very obvious. And again, that has a reason so that you can, nip it in the bud while it's small and before it starts causing you big problems. And I feel like you've done it in the second week, or you start to do it. For the small minority of you who might be in legal battles right now, I feel that you win in the second week, or something gets happens in your favor, because both of those are upright, or maybe you get a new idea of how to make your case work, or you hire a new lawyer or something. But I feel like that's not many of you, but obviously justice has that representation, and these are general readings, so it seems like an upswing and positive reinforcement for any legal battles for sure. In the third week of September, you guys have Two of Pentacles rooted down by Three of Cups. You're kind of peeking your head up out of the destruction, I feel like, because again, Saturn is direct and it's moving, and this should feel like at least a miniature exhale of energy for you, of difficult energy. And for a lot of you, this could be like, what do I do? Now that I'm so successful, now that I'm making more money, now that I've paid off the debt, and now that I've paid, what do I now do that I don't have all of these liabilities in my life? I don't have these liabilities, and I'm like, I could spend my money like this, I could spend my energy like that, what do I do? And then I feel that you end up maybe getting together with old friends in a more positive way now, or you start making new friends. Something makes you more sociable, and something makes you realize how much you actually have to work with. You're saving more money. It's really nice to see. Honestly, the rest of September after the first week is wonderful. Beautiful energy. There's a mission in the first week where you have to accomplish something quite profound, but you do it and you have like a wonderful outcome. I don't see much more than just trying to decide how to spend your abundance in the third week and celebrating something. Maybe you've launched the new website, or you have decided to aspire to release the record or something that's really outlandish comes about, but you do have to remember to structure it, because Saturn's still there. It's still there for a little bit longer, so if you try to do anything that's too much of a gamble, you can still kind of experience an energetic backlash from that. But I feel that most of you already realize this and have been, structuring for a long time now, so that's fine. In the fourth week, you guys have Queen of Pentacles, who are down by Eight of Wands, and it's beautiful energy again. Wow, that's a wonderful, wonderful combination of energies. Again, your health is on the upswing. You are more organic. You're more, your systems are just working better at this point in time. You're eating more regularly. You're eating at more like intervaled periods of time. You've balanced exercise. I know that a lot of you either just haven't been exercising, or you've been overdoing it. It's very common for Sagittarius to overtrain or to overexert themselves, even at work or something that's not related to exercise. It feels to me by the fourth week of September that that's been balanced out. It feels to me that you no longer have to try so hard. So I'm so happy to see that for you guys, and I'm so happy to see the windfall that is also coming with Eight of Wands, because it represents that through balancing out your health and through taking a more organic approach to life, the universe is reciprocating that. And it's like either you're able to work that much more, you're able to make that much more money just because you have the energy to do it, or you can also become very well known in your community for doing this. Like, wow, that's the person who had the huge transformation. That's the person, look at how well their body looks. Look at how much weight they've lost. Look at how nice their skin looks. They look different. They look like they're a new person. So that's really just like, it gives me chills because, again, I have so much Sagittarius as well, so it's good to see this transformation, because oftentimes with transformation, sometimes it can go really bad and people can like say, oh, that's that person who's changed so much, look at how bad they look. But for you guys, it's a very positive ideal of transformation, which is rare to achieve, so good for you. Your central theme is Three of Swords, and the only way that I see that really coming in is by realizing how happy you are and realizing that you haven't been this happy in a long time, and that kind of hurts. Realizing maybe that you stopped yourself from being happy for somebody else, or you sacrificed your happiness for the needs of another person. And I think that that's sad for you. I think that you will also realize that you're as happy as you were with that person that is no longer in your life. And it's the first time since you've been this happy. It's the first time since you've felt this understood, or since you felt like you had this much autonomy in your life. And that just makes you remember the past and where you were before. So that's the only red flag for me. Don't get too nostalgic. It's not in your zodiac sign's nature to be this nostalgic, but you can't really help it. It's the human condition. But you definitely have to battle that feeling with like crediting yourself and crediting what you've been through and what you've gone through and allowing yourself to be happy. Do not clip your wings because you don't want to be reminded of the past, and being happy might remind you of the past. Allow yourself to be happy, acknowledge what the past was, and realize that you've created it for yourself this time. And your September is going to be absolutely beautiful. And in reality, it might not be that eventful, but it's fueling the energy within you to create an amazing end to 2017 and really jump into like the next 3 or 4 years, assuming the whole Jupiter and Scorpio, Jupiter and Sag transit, to give you something very, very amazing. So start thinking long term. Start thinking how you want to use your money, how you want to use your energy to create what you've always wanted, because dreams do come true in the Sagittarius paradigm over the next 5 years tops. So how would you do that? It's a good place to start thinking. Anyway, I've so enjoyed giving this reading for you guys. It was definitely one of the highlights of my September readings. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I would so appreciate that. Every single subscribe makes my day. And you can hit the bell button to the right of the subscribe to be notified when I upload. Also, if you would like to book a private reading with me, I believe that should be popping up on the screen right now as well. And the description box should hold a lot of other information. Your likes and comments keep me going. I love you guys dearly, and I'm wishing you so much luck and congratulations for this month. Talk to you soon. Bye.